Namaste friends, I'm your co-host Shavni ma'am. Welcome to your favorite learning channel. The topic for today's video is types of respiration in different organisms. So in our previous video, we have learned about different types of respiration, that is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So today let's see how different organisms respire. Okay, so we will start with the lower organisms. Okay, lower organisms, for example, what are the lower organisms? Like yeast, bacteria, etc. These are some of the lower organisms. Here yeast, they perform anaerobic respiration. We had already studied, that is, they respire in the absence of oxygen. Whereas in case of bacteria, some of the bacteria may be anaerobic, which respire in the absence of oxygen, whereas most of the bacteria are aerobic, that is, they respire in the presence of oxygen. So they now these lower organisms, how do they respire? They respire by a process called diffusion. Okay. So what is diffusion now? Do you know what is diffusion? Diffusion is actually movement. It is the movement of molecules, but in this case we are talking about respiration, hence we would say it is the movement of gases from a region of higher concentration, from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Okay, so all these lower organisms, they perform diffusion. By the diffusion process, the respiratory gases, they move. Now let's see the case of aquatic animals or aquatic organisms. So here we can take an example of fish. Fishes are aquatic animals because they live in water. So they respire. How do they respire? They respire through specialized organs, and these specialized organs are called gills. Okay. So these organisms, they take water through their mouth, and this water further moves through their gills. So in gills, what happens is the oxygen that is dissolved, because they are taking in water, so in water the oxygen is present in dissolved form. So the oxygen dissolved in water, this is further taken up. This dissolved form of oxygen is further taken up by the blood. Okay, so we are now familiar how aquatic animals respire. Next, we would move on to terrestrial animals. Terrestrial animals. For example, human beings. Okay. So what happens here in case of terrestrial animals? They have specialized organs. They have organs and organ systems. Specialized organs and organ systems for performing the process of respiration. Okay, so the primary respiratory organ is their primary respiratory organ. The primary respiratory organ in case of terrestrial animals is lungs. Okay, So these organs and organ systems are very delicate and hence they are protected by being present inside the body. So as their surface of these organs is very fine and delicate, these surface help in the exchange of gases. Okay, so the surface of these organs help in exchanging gases in case of terrestrial animals. Now let's see another form of respiration called cutaneous respiration. Cutaneous respiration. So what happens in case of cutaneous respiration? Here the gas exchange occurs. Gas exchange occurs or takes place. How? It takes place across the skin. Okay, and this form of respiration is known as cutaneous respiration. There is no respiratory organ here involved. So in some animals this cutaneous respiration is the sole form or the only form of respiration, whereas in some other animals this cutaneous respiration is accompanied with other methods of respiration. For example, in case of amphibians like frogs, how do they respire? They respire both with the help of their skin, that is by cutaneous respiration, and also with the help of the lungs. So here cutaneous respiration is not the sole method of respiration, but it is one of the methods of respiration. Okay, whereas in case of earthworms, how do they respire? They respire only through their skin. So in case of earthworms we can say that cutaneous respiration is the only form of respiration. Okay, so next we will see what happens in case of insects. So all insects they respire with the help of trachea. Okay, so each and every cell in their body receives oxygen supply through this trachea. Okay, so now what is trachea? Trachea is actually it is a network of fine tubes. Okay, so this is trachea. So these trachea are also known as respiratory tubes or air tubes. Okay, because they help in respiration, hence trachea can also be called as respiratory tubes or air tubes. So these trachea trachea opens out on the lateral side. On the lateral side of the body of insects. And how does it open? It opens through small pores, and these are called the sphericals. Okay, so now let's see how actually the exchange of gases happen. So what happens is the fresh air that is rich in oxygen. Such air first it enters the sphericals. Then from sphericals such air moves into trachea, and further from trachea this air is circulated. This air is circulated. It is circulated for the oxidation of food. Okay, so this is how the air is entering. Now the foul air which is rich in carbon dioxide, and this air first moves through trachea first, okay, because while entering, the air rich in oxygen first entered spiracles, then trachea, then it got circulated in the body for oxidation of food. Now it's coming back, so it will first move through trachea, and then such air, it will come out, then it comes out of the body. Such air comes out of the body through spiracles, okay. So here we can say that in case of insects, that the trachea and the spiracles, they help insects in breathing, that is, they help in exchanging the respiratory gases. So now let's revise the things that we have studied today. So we saw how different kinds of organisms respire. So first we talked about the lower organisms, for example yeast, bacteria, etc. We know that yeast respire anaerobically, whereas some of the bacteria respire aerobically, while some of the bacteria respire anaerobically, whereas most of them respire aerobically. So here the respiration takes place by the process of diffusion, where diffusion is the movement of gases, and these gases move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Then we saw in case of aquatic organisms or aquatic animals, for example fishes. So these organisms, they respire through special organs called gills. So these gills actually take up water, and then this water further moves through the water is first taken up by mouth, then this water further moves through gills. So in gills, the oxygen that is present in the form of dissolved condition in water, such oxygen is further taken up by the blood. Then in case of terrestrial animals, for example human beings, we saw that these terrestrial animals have specialized organs and organ systems that help them in respiration. So their primary organ that is responsible for respiration is lungs. So these animals, they have delicate organs, hence they are protected by being present inside their body, and through the surface of these fine and delicate organs, the exchange of respiratory gases take place, okay. Then we talked about cutaneous respiration. So in case of cutaneous respiration, the gas exchange takes place across the skin. So this form of respiration, in some animals it is the only form of respiration, whereas in some other animals this cutaneous respiration is accompanied by other forms of respiration. For example, in amphibians like frogs, the respiration, that is cutaneous respiration, is present, that is they respire with the help of their skin as well as with the help of lungs. So here cutaneous respiration is not the only method of respiration, whereas in case of earthworms, cutaneous respiration is the only form of respiration because they only breathe through their skin. Then we saw the case of insects. We studied that all the insects respire with the help of the trachea. So now what is trachea? Trachea is a network of fine tubes. So this trachea helps in supplying oxygen to each and every cell of insects. So these trachea further open out on the lateral side of the body of insects through small pores, and these are called spiracles. So the fresh air that is rich in oxygen first moves into spiracles, then to trachea, and from trachea this air is circulated throughout the body for oxidation of food. Then, while coming out of the foul air that is rich in carbon dioxide, what happens is this air first moves through trachea, then it comes out of the body with the help of sphericals. So, we can say that trachea and sphericals in insects help in breathing, that is, they help in exchanging the respiratory gases in case of insects. So I hope you all would have got some great insights by watching today's video. Please do not forget to like and share the video. Till then, thank you for watching.